I started dating Cody because I knew he was going to be a star, and he had a lot of dreams, and everything that he told me that he was going to do, he's done it.
Cody Rhodes told a story about how he used to carry one half of the split women's championship.
Cody exaggerating. There was not one at TV or one that Michelle and I carried.
There was romance brewing between Michelle McCool and The Undertaker.
I think I called her out. I said, "Oh my God, he loves you."
Diva Search competition. You won 250 grand. What did you do with that money?
I felt guilty at one point for winning that money.
The Piggy James storyline.
When we first started, I honestly thought it was just going to be a one-off. As controversial as it was, I have no regrets for it.
If the timing is right, would you want to come back?
The only thing I think that I would ever consider or think about doing is...
Today we are joined by the flawless one, the two-time women's champion, the one and only, the most gorgeous, Layla.
Hi guys, thank you so much for the compliments.
Very excited to have you on. But before we dive into, of course, your time in WWE, what you're doing now, we just celebrated Mother's Day. And I want to talk to you about your mom because I saw in that WWE Superstars handbook, it was mentioned that you paid tribute to your mom with those infinity symbols on your gear.
Yes, I did. My mother passed away suddenly. She was only 47 years old. It was just before her 48th birthday. And the date she passed was 8/8/2008. And at that point in my life, I was living in California, and my apartment number was 888. So it just registered with me in every way that it was like, so I just wanted to have that. Plus the 8 turned sideways means infinity. So it was just a way to pay tribute and also move past, like, the sadness of losing a parent.
Yeah, that's absolutely thoughtful. When we talk about Layla, the entrance is what comes to mind. Of course, just like you, it was absolutely flawless. It was unique. You come in, then you, just lay on that rope, top rope. Who came up with that idea? Was it you or was it someone backstage and creative?
It was actually a combination of stuff, because if I reflect back in my career, when I was in ECW, I used to hold my leg and bend it through and go all the way under the rope. And one day I did it, and Vince told somebody to tell me, "Don't ever do that again. Not in the hard cam. That's it. Don't do that again." And I was like, okay. So I knew I had to come up with an entrance. So I was in FCW, and I was just trying all this stuff and that. And Billy Kidman was there, and I was like, this and that. He goes, "That's it. That's all you need." Like, I literally was like, "What about something like this?" And I was going to keep going, like being more elaborate. And he's like, "That's all you need." And I was like, okay. So that's how literally it originated, because I couldn't do my other performance. My other entrance, sorry.
You couldn't do one, but you did the other, and that other stuck with everybody, and we're still talking about it. Speaking of something that did stick with us, early on in your WWE career in 2006, there was a very famous prank that you pulled off on The Maze. You said you're going to get a lap dance, and then he gets blindfolded, and then it's Mr. B.D. Johnson who comes out instead. So, was there anything that was improvised in that segment, and how did it all come out to be?
Well, actually, I kind of messed. It was my first pay-per-view. I was extremely nervous. If you notice, I'm like taking Mrs. clothes off, messing around with him, and I was also supposed to take his pants off. But because I'm British, pants are trousers. So I could hear him going, "Take my pants off. Take my pants off." But I didn't know what he meant, and I was nervous. So I think it could have been even funnier. And what I was actually supposed to do was to make sure he had just his underwear on, and then BDJ will come up. So, but I still think it was funny. It works, and Miz is like so easy to work off. He makes everything entertaining, easy. So I just laugh about it now. But I should have taken his pants off.
This is a big revelation because despite of not knowing it, it was so funny, it was so hilarious to see. But this would have been an icing on the cake if you would have done it.
I know. I felt horrible. Backstage, I was like eating myself. I was like, oh, so mad at myself, and you get frustrated, like, oh, but you can't change it now. It's just a funny story.
You come to the US, then of course your stint with the Miami Heat, and then the Diva Search competition. You actually won it. You won 250 grand. What did you do with that money?
Well, the 50 grand I didn't get. That was technically my contract. So the 50 grand was my contract for 2026. Not 26, 2006, sorry, 20 years ago. So I did get a check for $200,000. The first thing I did with it, which I was so scared, was I paid a lot of taxes. Paid a lot of taxes from it. And then I think I put some of it away, and then other stuff I just kind of had for expenses. Yeah. So if you don't realize you're going to get a massive check, but then you're like, oh no, the taxes and stuff like that. So that was like the biggest, like, kind of time that I had to pay so much taxes first time.
You talked about the moment wherein, as you're British, you were hoping the Miz would say trousers, but you kept saying pants. So similarly, what were some culture shocks that you faced once you became a WWE diva with respect to the work culture in WWE?
It wasn't so much the American that I wasn't Americanized enough. It wasn't anything like that, or I'm saying I was too British or anything like that. At that moment, because I was so nervous and so out of my place, it wasn't so much the difference in the culture for us that I actually felt different. It was the fact that I didn't understand any of the wrestling language. I didn't understand any of the backstage rules or how you should conduct yourself or not conduct yourself, because this is stuff that you either go to training and you learn, or like me, you have to learn by trial or error, or watch other people mess up and know I can't do that or I must do that. So that was what I found the hardest. As soon as I got backstage as well, at that time when I'd won that money, there was so many like wrestlers who are not top names who are like, I'm training every day. I've trained my whole life. I've done this, I've done that, and then you come in and you win that kind of money. I had to adapt to that and to people look at me differently and not treating me like how you would normally just treat a new colleague. And it wasn't personal, which now I reflect, but like at that age when I was like 20, I was just like, I was like, oh, like I felt guilty at one point for winning that money and being given that opportunity. So that was the hardest, not so much the Americanization of the language.
You also talked about ECW a while back and how Vince McMahon told you to change something from your original entrance. Speaking of ECW, we have to talk about the Extreme Expose. How hands-on was Vince McMahon when you came in this group, and what were the early learnings from him?
So I couldn't wrestle, of course, and I wasn't told to go train and wrestle, right? So they saw a match with me and Crystal on SmackDown, and then they're like, okay, we're not going to put her out there. But then I think it was Johnny Ace was like, well, Layla can dance. And then they were so invested in Kelly's expose by herself. And you got to remember, Kelly was 19 at that time. And then Johnny was like, I said to Johnny, I can dance, if you need me, whatever. And Brooke was from my Diva Search too. So he put Brooke and Kelly together. And the first, like, basically I was in charge of everything. I designed the costumes. Sometimes I made the costumes. I edited the music. I choreographed the girls. I taught the girls. And the first couple of times, I think, if you look back up, I was mortified. It was awful. The performance, I was just like, this is so bad. Like, and I was like, this is so bad, but I kind of need this because I want to maintain my job and learn and train on the side. So the first couple of times, it was not good. Then after there was one song, I think it was the Pussycat Dolls. Don't you want to? Don't you think about? I can't remember Pussycat Dolls. And Vince pulled me aside after that performance, and he said, "I'm really impressed with this. I want to keep moving forward with this, and I know that you're in charge, so I need you to do this, this, and this." He loved Extreme Expose. The next week, we had pie every night. We were booked on every live event shows. We weren't wrestling, but we were training behind. And then Expose was really great. Like, Expose could have done so much more than I think that it actually did. But Vince did love, like, he really did. He did come, he pulled me aside. I mean, that's a big deal. That's a huge, deal when you think about it, and getting pyro and stuff like that. Expose was awesome. It really was a good time. And I think Vince made a good call by putting the three of us together. I think it worked. It really did work.
Yeah, it did work. We talked about something that worked. We want to talk about something that did not work. Was there any time in your career wherein you felt that a particular story that was pitched was humiliating, or you said, okay, no, we are going too far, let's not do it?
I never said no to any storylines, though. I'll be honest with you, I really wasn't one that really said no to any storylines or anything. Trying to think when it was humiliated. I mean, I didn't even look at it like it's humiliating because it was like, I'm a performer, you're paying me. I mean, and I was fine. I'm adventurous. Like, I didn't mind being the one who was made a joke of, or, you know, or the one in a fat suit running around, or the one being thrown in a pile of like mud, stuff like that. Like, that's the whole thing about WWE. Like, I'm an entertainer. I want the crowd to react, and sometimes you got to do things that, you know, might be perceived as humiliating, but to me, it's like I'm just performing. I'm just doing my job.
And speaking of humiliating, who knows better to make most of humiliation than Vickie Guerrero, someone who you know very well. She absolutely nailed it, right? How was it being with Vickie, and of course so close in that time working with her?
Vickie was great. From the day I met Vickie, she's amazing, awesome, and actually, Vickie was the one that when we used to do Extreme Expose, I'd be in the locker room, like out, like we've got a few hours, but we can't go into the ring now because people are coming in. I would ask Vickie, big nets, right? So I would ask Vickie, can you sit there and just watch us? Because I can't count. I can't like leave them. Can you see how it is? Can you tell me if we're together or if we're not? So Vickie used to be the Extreme Expose, like, you know, no, that one was bad. No, that was that. So that's where that started. Then when Vickie started working with Michelle, and then I started working with Michelle, because one of the first things I remember going out in the crowd with her, like when we had a show, I have never heard the building. I've never heard anyone boo so much in my life. I could not believe. I could not hear a word what she was saying. I, I remember me and Michelle looking at each other at one point, and I'm like, "What is she saying?" Like, because we have stuff to do, we have things to do, but I can't hear. Like, I don't know what she is saying. So literally, every time you go out there, like even when she come up out of Gorilla, we're in the ring. We're just like, what is she saying? Like, we know what she's supposed to say, can't hear it, can't have it. So for that, and it's amazing that Vickie like attained that kind of success, because I'd never been able to perform next to that kind of success, and also with Michelle. So it was always like, wow. And then Vickie also became like, when LayCool first started, we used to make our own outfits. Like I used to make our own hoodies. We used to all be sitting there on the floor gluing together our sequences and stuff like that. Ask Vickie, she'll tell you. She'll text me, great, I just found five more sequences stuck in my shirt, or 5 sequences stuck in my sock. So we have great times on the TV, we have great times backstage. And they put a cockroach on me one time. I hate cockroaches. Vickie did that. And Michelle, they're pranksters, but very privileged to work with both of them. Looking back at it at that time, I didn't understand how big it was. And now when I look back and reflect, I was like, wow, that was a really great moment in history, in wrestling, and also a great part of history for women, because things were starting to change.
Yes, and like you mentioned, things were starting to change. In fact, when you look at it in hindsight, you and Michelle McCool kind of were the ones who were actually in a very good position to have a women's tag team division structured around you two. Do you ever feel that that was a missed opportunity? Maybe that revolution could have come sooner and those championships would have been in the mix. Yes.
Absolutely. I do believe that was a missed opportunity, but I also don't think it was the worst thing that could have happened, because I think the way that LayCool was handled with the split titles, it was so perfect, original, and kind of glad it didn't. Would I have liked it to progressed afterwards from that? Yeah, but no, I like it the way it was. I really do. I like it the way, because we will always be remembered as the girls that divided titles, right? The girls that shared a title. You know what I'm saying? And then now there's a great moment for the women's division. Now they're tag team champion titles, and I think it's perfect timing. I really do. So,
Yes, speaking of Michelle McCool, how has your relationship been with her? How was your first day meeting? And how has that friendship, blossomed over the years?
so yeah, the first time I ever met Michelle, it was right after I won the Diva Search. I remember it was in Boston because it was my first show. I just, said hello to everybody. I had a brief conversation, and we always spoke after that. I connected with her from the beginning, like always connected with her. Like, it was cool, we could talk, have fun. She's very like talented. She's also very like organized, and she works hard. Like, I mean, harder than anybody I saw in the locker room. And it was just chemistry. And then when we started working together, it was just undeniable chemistry. And Michelle and I will always be friends. We will always have a huge part in each other's lives. We shared something that was so magical and so beautiful that people are still talking about it to this day. I'm glad I got to share that with Michelle. She made me work better. She made me learn so much. So not only that, I will always be grateful to her for that. She really gave me a lot.
Yes, and we could see that chemistry on screen as well. Every time you two were on mic, you were being mean to other people. And when I say mean, there was one story that really got people's attention was the Piggy James storyline, right? Michelle has, of course, gone on record to say that how you two would apologize to Mickey in advance before the segments, and it was WWE's idea, not yours. But looking back, what's your perspective on it? And did you ever have moments where you felt that while we are still doing it, it's gone too far?
When we first started, I honestly thought it was just going to be a one-off, like promo and a quick match. But then it progressed, and it started getting the fans started like. So how can I explain it? So, like Michelle said, Michelle's 100% right. We would always like apologize and try to make it clear. Look, this is not me, please. I just want to make a good storyline, and I have to give Mickey credit because Mickey did amazing in that. She kept her head up. She made it. And here's the thing, LayCool was supposed to be Mean Girls, right? We're the Mean Girls. We were Mean Girls. So at that time in that era, people were mad. People was completely mad. Like that was the first time that I'd felt when I was in the Divas division that the Divas actually had heat with the audience. Because prior to that, I'd never felt such heat. So we'd go out there for live events. I mean, women were screaming at us. They wanted to beat us up. They're like throwing things at us and stuff like that. As tender as that subject was, because Mickey, let's be real, Mickey wasn't heavy. As horrible as that was, it did get people to care about the wrestling more. They get the girls and women to care about Divas wrestling. But not only that, it showed that Mickey, if you can outcome your bullies. Now, she beat us. She shut us up. If it would have been the other way, then I'd have been like, okay, that's wrong. But she showed everybody, yes, I am a woman, I am this, and she beat us up and shut LayCool up. So as controversial as it was, maybe this era it wouldn't fly, but for what happened, I have no regrets for it. I have no regrets. And you should ask the other girls. I'm not too sure if they do, but for me, I think it was great storytelling and it was entertainment at that time.
But like you said, y'all were the mean girls. LayCool were the mean girls. But were there moments when, you are in a match or especially during promos where you almost broke character or you couldn't hold on to it?
I think it was one segment. I think Maria was in there and Mickey, and she told me that I need to get manners or something. And I said, I don't need manners. I'm British. I think that broke character. She started laughing. I started laughing. I mean, there are so many other moments, but that one right now is the only one that I can really, really think about. So that was funny.
Michelle McCool, of course, great friends with her, on-screen chemistry, off-screen. You talked about how you two got off. At the same time, we know that there was romance brewing between Michelle McCool and The Undertaker in that era. So were you witnessing this romance developing?
I told Michelle right away when I was a long, long time ago. I said to Michelle, I think I called her out. I said, oh my God, he loves you. That's it. That's the end of the conversation. And look, he did. Turned out he did. I don't know how. I just felt it. I was just like, oh my God, they're perfect for each other. I was like, so yeah, I did see it and everything. And then, yeah. I mean, I don't know, like, I don't think anything, like, I don't think they were together or anything like that time, but I could just, honestly, that was like, it didn't make it obvious, just me. I just thought oh my God, he loves you. That was it. That was the end of it. Like, I didn't, he didn't make it obvious. I could just feel it. Sometimes you just can feel things before, like, it happens or like, and I probably was looked at like an idiot when I said that, but that's what I felt at the time.
They got married, and speaking of them, Cody Rhodes told a story about how he used to carry one half of the split women's championship in his bag when you'd forget it, and that TSA agents had no idea what to make of it.
Yes, I think Cody was exaggerating, of course. There was only one title that was split. There was only one. There was not one at TV, or there was not one like that Michelle and I carried, okay? She had her hat, I had my hat. Sometimes, I pack a lot more than usual. And I do remember, I think he just wanted to get through security quickly and stuff like that. So he grabbed the title and he goes, okay, let me put this in my bag, let me put this in your bag. And I was like, okay. And then I remember like going through security and I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, so, and then they're all looking at him weird. And then it says, when the guy pulls it up, it says like half of the women's champion. I remember he's like, they're just standing there and he goes, it belongs to her, my girlfriend. And then they're like, they kind of all laughed it off. And that he exaggerated. That happened one time. And yes, we used to date a long, long time ago. We dated, and he was a gentleman, and he would carry my stuff through security for sure.
Speaking of Cody, did you see it back in the day that, this person, he's got it in him to rebel, to get out of the company and have the kind of, path that he's had to coming back and being at the top now?
Absolutely, 100% I saw that. I started dating Cody because I knew he was going to be a star, and he had a lot of dreams, and everything that he told me that he was going to do, he's done it. So congratulations to him, because for someone who can tell you their dreams and they're going to make it happen, and they do make it happen, congratulations. So yeah, I mean, of course I saw it, because I wouldn't have dated him or been with him if I didn't see everything that people will see now. So yeah, I did.
Speaking of your career in WWE, currently, if you look at the landscape, a lot of options for professional wrestlers. But back in the day, if you look at it, not much, especially for someone like you who actually came through the WWE Diva Search. Was there ever any moment where you considered maybe looking at Joshi wrestling in Japan or maybe Mexico?
No, I was definitely WWE born, definitely WWE just stamped. That was it. And that has been my whole life. My whole career was WWE. And I would never have gone anywhere else, I don't think. Even if I had been retired, fired, or anything, no. I started at WWE. That's where I belong.
Speaking of WWE, especially at the time when you started, it was known as the Divas era. And speaking of the Divas era, there were shorter matches. There was a lot of criticism that there's not much of wrestling that we get to see. Considering that many women from that generation laid the groundwork for the current talent, how do you look back? If you had a longer time, would that have made your character or LayCool much bigger than what it is?
Of course it would. Once you're given more time, you're given time to develop character, given time to tell a story within the match. That's the whole thing. That's how you draw people in. It would be amazing. Like, I look at the time the girls have now and I'm like, oh my God, sometimes I'm blown away by it. But the thing is that I like about the Diva era, and especially LayCool, was we were given 2 minutes, go out there, put a match together, like do your match, do your storyline, and keep it moving. And we did it within that time frame. So you got to remember, of how big LayCool was at that time. With that kind of time, we did it. That's the thing you got to look at. We still maintain to do it. I think it's not fair, because I always used to hear like, okay, take 5 off the Divas, 5 off the Divas. Divas, you got 2 minutes. Like, it was always, the time was cut from the Divas. But I'm very happy for the girls now, because look, they've got the time, there's no rush and stuff like that, and it's just evolution. It's just the way it was. You can't change it. And if I was younger now and I was in the wrestling business, would I be good? I don't know. I really don't know.
Evolution is necessary, and a lot of independent female wrestlers now build their own subscription and content platforms. Mandy Rose has spoken publicly about earning more outside WWE through fan platforms. Do you think wrestling companies should become more open-minded about talent monetizing themselves independently?
I think they can be a little bit open-minded, but once you're under contract, you're under contract. So it's kind of, I think it's just a really thin line. WWE is the one that you're giving you the time of TV, giving you all the publicity, and then you're going off making money all by yourself. I totally understand it, but you got to look at it from a business point of view. If WWE decides, and you can have it in your contract, I agree with it. But if they're not, then you just got to make a choice. I don't think you can be both.
I have to talk to you about another peer of yours, Natalya. She's had the longevity unlike anybody else. What do you think has been the special ingredient for Natty and this longevity?
Natty's just a very, very smart woman. She loves wrestling. Her whole family is involved in it, her husband, everything. She works really hard, and she was very giving to everybody. Like when the girls used to come up from FCW, they would always say, Natty's so nice. Natty always helped me. So Natty was always that way. Like she worked with everybody. I don't know many people that will have to say a bad word about Natty. So, and the thing is she doesn't give up. Like she's, like you said, she's been there a really, really long time. And it's like, she hasn't like slowed down, or her work ethic has changed. Her work ethic is still the same. She can still go, and she's always going to have a career, I think, in wrestling in whatever capacity she wants it to be. So Natty's smart. Natty worked hard. Natty made sure she played the rules right too.
While Natty has been around for quite some time, we recently at WrestleMania saw the return of Paige. She's had her fair share of injuries and setbacks. Having been there through her rise in the company, how does it feel seeing her defying all these expectations?
I mean, Paige is Paige. Paige is amazing. Her whole family is all about wrestling. Her whole life was all about wrestling. So I'm sure when she got injured, she was pretty devastated. So I'm so happy that she could go back, and while she's still got some time in her to, solidify herself as an even bigger name in WWE.
Speaking about your final WWE run, it felt very brief. You came back from surgery, then you wrestled a handful of matches, and then you retired a few months later in July. Was that always the plan, or did something change?
I don't think there was a plan. I think in my mind I was going to keep going and keep going. But I think that I was like 38 at that time. So realistically, like I've been there 9 years. I've done everything you could possibly do at that time. And it was just time to go, both from WWE and from myself. I just needed to go because it was like, what was I really going to keep doing at that age? And I didn't want to keep aging on TV as well. And the road is just so rough and that. So would I have liked to have gone out better? Would I have liked to have been able to um, have made a bigger deal about my career retirement? Probably, but I just woke up one day and went to the gym and got to the arena for like, call time, and I just was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to do this. I'm done. And so I just said, I'm sorry, I want out all the time. And that was it, and I flew home. That was it. It was just something in me that just had enough.
So, did you have any conversation with anyone from talent relations or Vince or Triple H at the time?
I'd spoken to Vince, I think, in July. He was the one that gave me the 3 years contract, which I signed. And then, like I said, within a few months, I just was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I went in and spoke to talent relations with Mark Carano at the time. And I just said, I'm done. We're done. I'm just done. That was it. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't anything. It was just, and as big as that moment was for me, and that like decision to just let it go, it actually felt like I could just breathe. Like I was like, I could just breathe. And that was it. And I literally walked away from wrestling in every capacity once I'd retired.
What does your life look like now, day to day? What gets you out of bed every morning?
I just have a really normal life right now, honestly, like just a normal life. But I'm going to be getting back into like social media and content, and possibly like writing a book. I've been speaking about a podcast that I want to do. I think there's going to be a change, and I want that to come out within a month or so. So I don't know yet. I don't know exactly, but I'm just ready. I want to get back into some dancing stuff again. I haven't danced in so long, and maybe I would like to start teaching. I don't know. I really don't know. Like I said, everything's open for me right now.
2026, while you've been away from it for about a decade now, we are looking at a completely different WWE. New leadership, new television deals, new premium live event deals. Do you think the locker room environment is it much more healthier today?
I don't know because I'm not back there. I haven't been back there like to interact with people. I did go to the Hall of Fame when Michelle was inducted, so I did get to see some people and look around and watch the environment. But to me, I would think that it would be 100 times better because they're not competing for just two spots. Where the locker room that I was in, you got to remember, there was only two spots. It was one spot on Raw, one spot on SmackDown, and that was it. And you've got all these girls that have to fight for their spot, and the environment changes you because it's like you're not. You just want to bow. You just someone, everyone. And it does. It was very competitive. I'm not saying it was negative, but it was competitive. And then there was circles of friends and circles of not. But I think now, because everyone's got more time, girls is being on TV more, they're actually main eventers. Like, I hope that by then it's eased down and calmed down a little bit, because you're not competing for just one spot. And the women's locker room wasn't like terrible when I was there. I mean, people had fights and didn't agree with this and didn't agree with that and stuff like that. But the same girls that I had fights with, or same girls that I didn't like, I can see now, and it's totally different because we're not in that environment competing with each other.
If the timing is right, would you want to come back for a WrestleMania return?
Well, for one, I'm so out of shape. Two, I don't want to break a hip or something. The only thing I think that I would ever consider or think about doing is if I would do a LayCool reunion. That's it. If it's Michelle and I, then I'll do it. Oh, that would be amazing. Well, for myself, I'm sure for Michelle, and I'm also sure for the fans of LayCool, who would love to just nostalgic moment. Like, of course, why not? Like, before it was always a no, but now it's like, why not? If it happens, and if WWE decides that that's something they would want to do, yeah, I would do it, I think.
Of course, talked about LayCool. The only criteria for a return is if it happens with Michelle. So, hypothetically, if it does happen, who are the two women you'd love to work with and just show them how a true heel operates?
There was at first I was totally like said Chelsea Green, because I thought that she's hilarious and she's such a diva. I think that'd be great. And then, but now I'm thinking that like Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, like I think I think that would be a cool match, or even if they bring back the Iconics too, like that would be a really good.
Moving on from that now, I'm just going to ask you, uh, Kaitlyn, she recently opened up about the fact that you two had tension backstage during your WWE days, stemming from her rapid rise to TV. She said you've since talked it out and you are on very good terms. From your side, what was that period like, and how did you feel about it once the dust settled?
Caitlyn and I did have drama. We had beef and that. I don't know necessarily if it was because of her, like, her how she just quickly rose to TV, because I also had that moment kind of thing. I don't really remember exactly what happened, but no, yes, there were times I think that I could have conducted myself and behaved a lot better towards Caitlyn than I did, and I should have had a lot more empathy for her. Like I said, sometimes the environment and your mind at that time, it can bring out a side of you that it's not right at that time. And I've seen Caitlyn, and I apologize. I really did. I said, I'm so sorry. Like that, I know I was wrong. I was out of line. I should have never. And the beef Caitlyn and I had actually like opened the door for her, because when her and Eve had that mishap at the Royal Rumble, right? I think something Caitlyn said I heard like offended me, kind of thing, and it like was messing up our storyline. So I think I was mad at the time, but my reaction to that basically opened the door for Caitlyn's career. So I believe everything happens for a reason. Do I look back and go, oh, why'd you act like that? Yes, absolutely. Caitlyn deserves to be there. Kaylee's a great talent. She's a great woman. So I guess to explain, I'm so happy that we got to speak it out and just let it be. And it's like it's so silly when you look back at it. But at that time, that's how I felt, and I think how she felt too.
Yeah, completely understand that. When you were in WWE, did you ever get a call from from Hollywood? And do you think that male wrestlers get a much more easy pathway to the grand lights of Hollywood than female wrestlers do?
I didn't, of course, get that call. No, I didn't get that call. Do I think it's easier for the guys to get that call in Hollywood? No. No, I don't. Like, you start when you're at WWE, you start like you're a name, but you have to prove yourself. And I think every WWE like star who's now a movie star worked for that, and they were given an opportunity and they were able to make it successful for themselves. So I don't think they get it easier. I just think maybe in the diva era, yes, you're right. I don't think they were looking at girls like that. I remember I did get called for when Jay-Z was going to come back. after his retirement for that. The movie with Denzel Washington, I can't remember, they wanted to do there was a music video for that, and they'd called and asked for me, and in the end, like WWE couldn't get an agreement, didn't let me have. I was always sad about that because I always wanted to be like a video vixen, you know. But so there were calls for girls, but I don't think it was movies, and I wasn't called for movies. I don't think, no.
You had put out an Instagram story wherein you wanted fans to update your Wikipedia page and update that relationship status. So when did you and Ricky part?
We're divorced since 2025. And that's all I'm going to say about it. I don't want to talk anything else about it. That's it.
We had a lot of fun with you, Layla. Fun questions, fun answers from you. Expecting a lot of things, like you said, the podcast, the book. Really excited for what's to come next.